Right, hi everyone. So welcome to the Becoming a Doctor Q&A on anything fresher related, or just any questions you have for us. So yeah, I'm Vicky, an intercalating student at the University of Leeds.
Yeah, I'm Hector, and I'm a first year at Edinburgh.
I'm Lisa, and I'm a fourth year at Bristol.
And I'm Lizzie, and I'm a fourth year at Oxford.
So yeah, plenty of diverse perspectives from lots of medical schools. And obviously got Hector here, actually fully experiencing the sort of the fresher journey with a lot of you. So probably be useful to have his views on board. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions. Just post them in the comments. But yeah, it must be a pretty different time, you know, to how it usually is. So oh. So yeah, Hector, how have you found it all though at Edinburgh?
It's been a real struggle, especially being in Scotland, and being in the belt, which is really extreme, because the only times I leave my house I have to go shopping and to go to the sports centre, which is obviously not what I expected. But the uni's done a really good job of making sure there's interactive stuff to do online. There's support, and that's helping us hold together. And I'm really lucky to have got really nice flatmates. So it's going well so far, against the odds. I hope everyone else is having a good time too.
Yeah, it's good to know that everyone's in it together.
Yeah. It's been hard having in lockdown, because then you miss people for like a month. They lockdown, then you lockdown.
No, it's so frustrating. Yeah, exactly. And even being you know, in an older year, like we've still had issues with trying to, you know, see people again. It's when everyone's getting back from home, it all just seems to have escalated a bit, having loads of students in one place. So completely get that it's quite difficult. Yeah, so yeah, just let us know if you have any questions, any tips that you'd like. You know, we've been through it ourselves, and we can obviously give you a bit of perspective on what's to come. So yeah, do let us know. Yeah, actually, what do you reckon, Lizzie and Lisa, what do you reckon your like top tip for an incoming fresher would be?
That's a good question. I think a big thing that was difficult to get over for me was to stop comparing myself to other people. I think that's something that you have to, once you've overcome it, it makes medical school a lot easier, I think. Just believing in yourself and that you've made it to medical school for a reason, and that you can, you know, you can follow your dreams and you can, you know, become a doctor. That's what you're there to do. And just remembering that, yeah, you can do it. And, you know, there might be other people that seem to have everything together, seem to be doing really well, but we're all going through the same thing, really, and just to believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's really good, Lizzie. I would definitely agree with that. For me, I think one of the most important things during freshers was to just make sure that I took care of myself, because obviously you're not at home anymore, you're living on your own, cooking for yourself, and I would spend a lot of my time at social events, meeting new people. And I know it's a bit different now with COVID times, but it's still just important to, you know, take some time for yourself and make sure you're eating well and resting properly, and just adjusting to life, you know, on your own, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be too hard on yourself. I think there's also a lot of pressure for it to be sort of the best week of your life, or, you know, best term. You know, it's all very exciting. And yeah, I can just say from personal experience, don't worry, you're not missing out. Like, it's not you know, all it's cracked up to be. It's definitely, it can be really fun, but it, you know, it also is difficult. You know, even under normal circumstances, it can be a difficult time as well. So yeah, don't worry if you're feeling like, oh, I'm not having the best, most fun time this term. It definitely gets better as soon as you start making friends, meeting people, getting used to the city, getting used to the course. It definitely gets better as it goes on. So yeah. Have you felt that, Hector? Do you reckon that advice would be useful?
Yeah, it's useful. Yeah, it is quite nice. Slowly learn the city, because obviously I'm not out and about that much, so I'm not really getting the chance to learn it. But when I'm out, I'm slowly piecing it together, and it's feeling more like home. It's quite nice. Yeah, and I've kind of come to this conclusion that I'm here for 6 years, so I will have enough nights. I'll have nights out, and it will by the end I'll be fine. Yeah, just see. Yeah.
You're all going to the same thing as well, which is.
Yeah, I think sometimes, to be honest, some of the older years, and at least at my university, got really badly affected by they got their electives cancelled, which obviously is one of the things that I think everyone looks forward to, like that traveling, in your fourth year, and so at least you've got lots to look forward to. I'm sure by then it will hopefully all be sorted, and you'll be able to have an amazing time in your last few years as well. Yeah.
So just in terms of me being a fresher, I'll ask you guys some questions.
Oh yeah, go for it.
What are your tips to stay focused in the room, given it's just your room and you've got a bed right behind you, clearly, in this instance? How do you not miss lectures? I'll just have the mic off and camera off and be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to take that first.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing the same for the past few weeks. I've just had online lectures and it's been very strange. And the thing for me is I'm always worried about missing them. So I always have like a timetable and have it all on my phone, like when the lectures are, so I don't miss anything. That often motivates me a bit. Like the night before, I'll look at what I've got. I'll be like, right, I'm going to have my breakfast before the first lecture, that kind of thing. And then apart from that, yeah, I've managed to have my desk away from my bed. They're very separate areas. Like over there is where I will sleep and over here is where I'll work. So I've got like my stationery and stuff all nearby and really trying to separate it out. But it is really strange not, going to a lecture theatre or going to a library. So just having some kind of separation between, the work zone and like the relaxing zone, even if it is just over there. Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say as well, get into a nice routine. I say that it's a lot easier saying that than it sounds, but I've been myself trying to like wake up. I'm trying to be more of a morning person, like maybe do a little mini home workout, then do a lecture, or like you said, according to whatever timetable, and like making breaks as well in between being at your desk, because honestly it's so bad like sitting at your desk all day. You don't even realize it until it's like 4 o'clock and you're like, oh my god, I've not stood up all day. Like, I have my watch sort of buzzing at me telling me to stand up. So I'd say like definitely try and space it out with bursts of movement, or some sort of routine that works for you, so that it just sort of you get into that pattern of it, I'd say.
Yeah. And also, do you guys have any websites to use, like for resource and stuff? Because obviously that's now really key to have it all on your phone. But I've got so many apps now. But I was wondering if you guys had anything to recommend to a little first year who wants to get some more stuff. Resources, let's say, rather than fun games.
I think if it depends on what your university uses, because Bristol we use Blackboard a lot, and they have an app which is definitely really useful to download. We also use OneNote quite a lot, so I have that downloaded. Basically any university resources, just try and get them on your phone so that they're nice and handy.
Yeah, I'd say in terms of actual, if you're saying about like revision resources or like actual medical content resources. I'd say the one thing I wish I'd actually done from first year, I think it might vary from university again, like how much they provide you in terms of practice questions and resources to revise from, but at least they gave us a one mock and that was it. I didn't really catch on to the fact that there are websites out there with multiple choice questions, which is basically what our exam is at the end. And even though they're not the exact questions that come up, they're pretty much the same. So I think there's Past Medicine, which is free, which I swear by. I think it's a good one to do. Maybe not, obviously not to begin with, but just keep that in mind. Like maybe when you get to exams, it's a different style of exam altogether, which was a bit of a shock to me. So I think I definitely wish I'd known about that a bit earlier. And then I think you might have to pay for it, but the BMJ does a really good question bank as well, which I used last year. Obviously my exams didn't happen, but it was really useful while I was getting there because they really replicated both styles of questions. So the shorter multiple choice questions, and then there's a longer one where it's sort of letters A to F, and then you have 4 options and you have to match the letter to the correct option. So it's just getting used to those styles of questions. I'd say those 2 websites in terms of question quality and what it's like in the exam are really, really good.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Top tips.
Top E at this point, anything. I've got my first kind of like placement call thing in a few weeks. What would be the tips to make the most out of that? I think I've got a call with someone who has got a chronic illness, which I think is quite a common theme first year. We had that person to stay in touch with. What would be your tips to make the most out of that? As people who've been through it.
Well, I would say don't worry too much in first year about not knowing about everything about the sort of science behind why they got that illness, or trying to diagnose people, because I remember that was my first worry when I first started talking to patients. I was like, right, I'm going to need to know the exact illness that they have, and they need to know what treatment I need to give them. And I think they're going to expect that from you at all. Focused on just having a conversation with them about just ask them questions about why are you calling today, and just try and make it as natural as you can, and get to as much information as you can about how they're feeling, when it started. And I think you will become very familiar with patient history structure, which can help initially, so that you don't miss anything out. But I would say initially don't worry too much about trying to diagnose people. You can follow a bit of a structure, starting off like just asking, they're presenting complaints, like what they've come in with, and then you move down from there and ask about sort of associated things, family history, personal social history, and that kind of. If you look it up online, you can see that there's like a defined sort of list of things that you just go through, and that just helps you stay on track, basically. So if anyone wants to add to that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think for a first patient, it might be quite nice just to kind of ask questions about their experience of the healthcare system, and how they find whatever condition they might have, how they find having that. I think just for the first time, they just want you to get an idea of how to talk to a patient, kind of things to ask, and what it's like for them.
Oh, we've got a question here. How would you recommend taking notes in first year? Anyone want to take that one?
I'm curious about this.
I guess it depends. I had my slides released online before the lecture, so I would always either print out the slides or get them on my laptop and annotate them as I went along, just to save me typing out stuff that was already on the slides. I don't know if anyone else did it differently.
Yeah, I think I did a similar thing. I ended up making long lists of notes and shoving them all in a folder somewhere, and I'm thinking that I can learn thousands of pages of notes for an exam, which might not have been the best idea. So what I I'm going to try and do moving forward, and maybe this would be a good tip, is to try and focus on more like understanding in the first instant, you know, how do I understand this topic? That's a big tick. And then to actually learn from the notes or from the lecture slides or whatever, I would then like make questions for myself and try and test myself. I think that's like the biggest thing to show that you have learned something and that you've gained something. So maybe not specifically making like notes, like big blocks of notes that you might have done for A-level and GCSE and that kind of thing. But yeah, kind of knowing the overview, maybe, you know, one page on a topic, and then from there making your own questions about all the individual bits that you can go back and test yourself on. But yeah, that's the advice I would have given to myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, trying to do it the whole A-level way, you're not going to be able to just put all the information that you're going to get at med school into your brain, you know, the same way. It just doesn't work. I agree with that. I'd say things like, I think Quizlet and Memrise, Brainscape as well, they're quite common apps that people use to make questions with. You might find that some older years have already made questions on the material at your university, so it might be worth, you know, asking around if there are. I remember that was a great thing I had in first term. It was really useful at the time. But yeah, like Lisa was saying as well, going into lectures prepared, having seen the lecture slides beforehand. Definitely wish I told myself that, because they'll go so quickly in the lectures. I mean, I suppose you'll be watching them recorded, so that might be a bit easier actually, because you'll be able to sort of go at your own pace. But you know, if things do go back to normal, definitely just go in prepared. And yeah, you can print them out, or you can. I know people liked. I use Google Drive as well. I like putting things on there and annotating the PowerPoint slides that way, and then transferring that onto something like, you know, Memrise or Quizlet. So yeah, definitely try different ways. But yeah, don't try making every, you know, notes on the pages on every single thing that you see. It's definitely going to take too long.
Cheers, Anna. Thank you. Sorted.
It's a good question, actually. It's so different to working at A-level, you know, sort of content level. There's just too much to know.
I was really lucky that the lectures were recorded in Bristol, because I would just be able to go back and replay them, because I just wouldn't be able to keep up in live lectures.
It's going to be so odd having to actually go out to get somewhere for 9 a.m. and not be able to pause it whenever I want. That's going to be very surreal. He's going so fast.
I know some people who did really well, who just stopped going to lectures really because they realised it's just for them. Some people, it just doesn't work, like sitting in a lecture room, having someone talk to you at a million miles an hour. It's just, I think it's more for like just to see people. I think I'm looking back now, it's nice, you know, seeing friends and stuff. So hopefully that will still be an experience at some point, because it's nice being around your friends and in a lecture. But yeah, no, it may not actually be the best way to like learn the information, I'd say. Yeah, any more burning questions from anyone, or Hector? Any burning questions?
I don't think I've got tons in my head somewhere. What else? What are the best anatomy apps? Because there are loads. And I've been trying to get some from my academic family. I need to figure out which ones are good. And which ones are worth paying for, because some of them you've got to pay for.
Lizzie, do you have a tip there?
Well, I only used, apart from like what I got from medical school, I just used the website Teach Me Anatomy.
Okay.
Absolutely loved it. It's very like simple in that it tells you what you need to know. Maybe not quite as much detail as I needed to know it, but it gave me the basics. And then from there, once you've got the basics, then it's a lot easier to then go into a bit more detail. And they have these really nice diagrams that are all kind of color coded so that you can really see the different, you know, muscles or nerves or whatever, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's just a good one for basics, I would say.
Awesome. Yeah. We had today. We had to learn all of the facial nerves, which is I don't know how many that is. I kind of lost it, but that was quite a jump from just doing. Here is the biceps. And that was it. It's a bit of a jump to all the foramina. Yeah, I think I said that right.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah. After this, we've got a talk at 6:30 on Instagram. So.
We've got a question from Felicity here. So how do you recommend having a good work-life balance with the heavy workload? Gosh, that's a great question. Yeah, no, I think it's a really important question though, because you definitely need to sustain yourself over the next 5 to 6 years. You definitely don't want to burn out too soon, and it's easily done because obviously you're surrounded by lots of bright students as well, and you're going to be wanting to do the best. But yeah, I agree. I think it's important to make sure that you've got a bit of a balance. So that can be different for different people. So some people like to join some societies, do a sport that they love. You don't have to stop doing things that you used to do at school, or if you want to try something new as well, definitely go for it at university. I'm sure, I know it's a bit more tricky at the moment, but I think societies at every university are trying their best to run events or make sure that you've got a chance to give things a go. So yeah, that could be a possible way. But yeah, you don't have to join societies either if that's not your thing. Just make sure you make time for yourself, and I think Lizzie said at the beginning, don't try not to compare yourself too much, because you're probably going from where you were at the top of the school to that pool of where everyone's achieved the same A levels, and it's pretty daunting. But yeah, definitely make time for yourself, and it is possible not to be working all the time.
Yeah, I think also it's quite useful to, instead of cramming right before exams and leaving everything to last minute and giving yourself all that stress during that time, just do a little bit throughout the year, keep on top of notes and go to lectures and things. And that way you have to work really, really hard towards the end. You just work consistently throughout the year. I think it definitely takes a lot of the stress off your shoulders when it's exam time.
Yeah, I would say that having societies or sports, that kind of thing, actually made me more organised. I would be able to fit in my work before I'd go to a society thing in the evening or whatever. And I'd make myself work before that, and it gave me a bit of motivation rather than being so unstructured and thinking, when am I going to work? When am I going to do this? So I think there's a certain, as you say, there is a balance, but I think there's definitely room for a bit of both, and I think a bit of both is actually a really good thing.
Yeah, Hector, how you find the whole work-life balance management at the moment, Hector?
Yeah, it's quite hard to actually create a life currently. So yeah, because it's to work. It's a bit, but it's really helped having the gym every day. I booked in every day at 1, so it's a nice little. I'm forced to leave the flat, otherwise you just end up looking at it and I have done 300 steps. Great. So it's a nice little forced exercise, forced break, because otherwise you can just bed in, and then you'll be there till 9 till 8, and you'll be burnt out. And actually, and it's nice for me being in a flat. I know some people, if you're catered, you don't have a flat, you're on a corridor, or if that's not how information is laid out. It's quite nice for me going into my flat and talking to other people who aren't doing my degree, and they're just talking to them, pretending I'm normal. Yeah. I think my maths roommate, he slept until 4 p.m. today, and I was very upset. Yeah, it's important to focus on yourself. You can't compare. You can't complain either. We all chose this degree, so. Yeah.
That's a good point though. It's nice in first year, especially first 2-3 years, while there are sort of your non-medics around doing the same journey as you. It's good to have that life as well outside of medicine. And you know, even if you don't like get on with your flat, that's fine as well. I know plenty of people that, but it is also, like you said, a nice thing sometimes when you do make friends outside of medicine, and that can be another way of like managing that sort of work-life balance. You know, having a bit of escape, so you're not just constantly talking about, you know, medicine and, you know, the exams and things. So yeah, that's a good tip, I'd say, as well. Brilliant. So yeah, like you were saying, Hector, we are going to be moving on to Instagram. So if you're following us on Becoming a Doctor, that's where we'll be at 6:30. And we also just want to let you know about a few events that are coming up, which would be useful. So firstly, we have the BMA Freshers Fair that is on Wednesday. So I'm just gonna pop that on the screen right now. So if you just if you just search up, you know, BMA Freshers Festival, that should come up. You can register there if you're a first year medical student. We have also got a very exciting virtual National Health Careers Conference. So there's going to be plenty of content there relevant for, you know, first year medical students, and plenty of careers advice, networking opportunities. It's going to be a great program. So make sure you register for that. It's free on Health Careers Live. And yeah, it's going to be a great event. Like I don't know if you've been joined us on our summer one, but it's going to be, you know, bigger and better. And as well, we've got the Allied Health Professionals Day as well on the 14th of October. Lots going on Wednesday. So yeah, stay tuned. Right, so any last minute questions on here?
Yeah, I'm all sorted, guys. So thank you very much for me.
Yeah. Right, we'll see you all on Instagram then. All right. Bye.